Hey there, and congratulations on getting your Cirrus cockpit all set up. In this quick video, I'm going to walk you through how to get the airplane from turned on to on the ramp or the runway so you can start turning on the aircraft and flying. So once you turn on the red switch on the back of the console, everything will begin to power up, and once it's all powered up, it should look something like this. Now, if we head over to the touchscreen Instructor Station, you can go ahead and double tap on the X-Plane 12 icon that's going to be right about here on your screen. That will load up the background software for the system, which is X-Plane 12. Now, it should just take a second or so for that to load up, and then once it does load up, we recommend that you start with new flight every time. There isn't really a need to use any of the other functions here. Unless you take the time to build in some scenarios, you can use this load saved flight option. But once you click on new flight, there's this main aircraft area, and you'll see the aircraft that your system came with highlighted here. And the only other thing that you would really want to change here is whether or not you want to start with the engines running or everything turned off so you can start it all yourself. And so you can go ahead and click on customize, and at the bottom right of this aircraft panel, you'll see start with engines running, and it's probably selected. And so go ahead and just use the touchscreen to uncheck that box so the aircraft won't be running when you load in. Okay, next up here on the top right, we can choose our location that we drop into. And so you can click into this search bar here and type in your airport identifier. Most of you probably already know what that is, but for me, it's KMYF for Montgomery Field here in San Diego. And so I'll just type that in. And so if you wanted to customize where exactly you would start off from, you can click on this customize button on the top right. And this will bring you to a screen where you can zoom in and click on the different places on the airport. You can also switch from loading on to the ramp or the runway by clicking on this little switch right here. Now, I usually load in from this GA6 location because that is where Executive Air Park is at Montgomery Field, and that's where I usually fly out of. And so I like to make it as realistic as possible. Now, if you choose to load onto the runway, which is perfectly fine, you can do so just by clicking over to runway with this switch or by clicking onto the runway itself with the touchscreen. And then you could also choose if you want to load in on a 3 nautical mile approach or even a 10 nautical mile approach. And here in a second, once we load in, I'll show you how to move the aircraft wherever it is that you want to go. Let's say you want to place the aircraft at a specific altitude and fix. I'll show you how to do that in a second. And so once you have your desired place you want to load in at, go ahead and just click done to go back to the main screen. Okay, next up, you can change your weather settings on whether or not you want it to be a VFR day or an overcast layer, so you can shoot an approach to minimums. So you can use this slider here and just drag your finger across to change from VFR scattered all the way to IFR precision and even some thunderstorms. Now, if you wanted to get really specific with this, you can click its customize button and you can click on and drag a cloud layer around. You can move the bases by clicking on it and moving the bottom to a little bit lower. You can also change the wind settings, and anytime you click on one of these layers, it will allow you to customize it here on the left side. I'll also show you how to change the weather settings once you're already loaded in here in a moment. Now, after that, it's just the time settings, so you can change it to nighttime, to daytime, to sunset, whatever you'd like. Normally, as soon as you load in, it's going to just sync with the real time it is outside in your location. And so change that how you like, and then that is basically it for this screen. So we got our aircraft, we've chosen our location, we've chosen our weather, and we know the time of day, so you can just go ahead and click on start flight. And now, if this is your first time loading in, it may ask you to calibrate some of the flight controls, specifically the rudder pedals. And so go ahead and click on open joystick calibration, and that'll bring you to this page where you can click on the center of the rudder pedal image there that says calibrate now. And so what you'll need to do is you need to place your feet on the rudder pedals and push them back and forth all the way left, all the way right, and then also put the brakes in all the way for both the left and the right toe. So you might have to stretch out your foot for that to fully depress the brakes on that. And once that's finished, go ahead and take your feet off of the rudder pedals and click on next and allow it to calibrate at that 0 position. And then after that, just click finish, and now you'll be officially ready to hit start flight. And then once you hit start flight, it'll just take a second to load in, and you'll notice that nothing is on. Everything is turned off, and in order to fix this, you'll want to turn on the battery 1 and battery 2 switch. And so for you, that switch may already be in the on position, and so what you'll actually have to do is turn it off and then turn it back on. The thing with this system is that it doesn't read where the switch is located until you change it. And so things like the throttle setting and the flap settings and stuff, you may have to just take take it out of position and then put it back into position. Specifically here, the master switch is a very common thing. So just recycle the master, and then everything should boot up, and then you should be ready to put the mixture in and put it in boost, add a little bit of throttle, and then turn the mags over to both and hit that start button to start your engine. Okay, now and lastly, once you load in, you'll see this on the Instructor Station, and here on the left side are a bunch of tabs that you can open and collapse by touching them. And so at the top left, you'll see location, and so you can hit that edit button to change your location to a different airport. You can then click on to weather and hit the edit button there to change the weather. So you can, you'll see subsequent tabs. So like clouds, for instance, you can change it to broken, and you can lower the bases to make it an IFR day by just scrolling that wheel down. And then anything you change here won't actually affect the simulator until you hit this change weather button. So just make sure that you do that. Okay, after that, you can go through failures. If you loaded in some failures, you can click on the time and change the time quickly, so you don't have to go back out to the main screen to do that. And then let's say you're running out of fuel, you can click this weight and balance and fuel folder here. And then there's a scroll wheel on the left here on the right-hand side. It's a little bit tricky to grab with your index finger. Sometimes using the mouse is helpful, but if you scroll all the way down, you can see the total internal fuel and fuel tank 1 and 2, and you can just drag that to give yourself more fuel. Okay, and then we'll scroll up, and you can collapse that so you can just get a better view of things. And lastly, you can zoom in here and get a closer look of your area. And if you click on your airplane icon, then you'll see this panel populate on the right side where you can change your heading, altitude, ground speed, and pitch. And so if you want to place yourself over a specific fix at a specific altitude, let's say you're getting ready to shoot an approach and you want to set yourself up a few miles away from the IAF, you can do that here. And so you just change your altitude, change your heading, and maybe make your ground speed a little bit more generous, a little higher than what you normally would cruise at, because once you unpause the simulator, by the way, it's best to pause before moving the aircraft, but once you unpause the simulator, then it will just take a second to kind of be in equilibrium at this new setting, and you'll have to adjust the power settings and stuff once you get there. But that is the easiest way to place yourself prior to, for example, an initial approach fix. Okay? And so that is basically it for getting it from turning it on to being ready to fly. And so once you are ready to shut it down, you'll just want to come up here to the top left, and you may not see it, but you'll need to hover the cursor or use your finger to press on the top left where it says File, and then click on File. You'll see a drop down of menus, and at the bottom of that, it says Quit. So you'll quit out of X-Plane 12, and then if you're ready to shut down the entire system, don't go just hitting that red switch in the back. You'll want to shut down the PC properly by doing the PC shutdown procedure. Now, the easiest way to do that is by hitting the Windows key on the bottom left of the keyboard, and then you can press on the power button on the lower right of this main menu here, and then click on Shut Down. Then be sure to turn off the red switch in the back. And so that is the best way to shut it down. That way, when you boot it back up, everything should be copacetic and good to go. You won't have to reconfigure anything. All right, I hope that was helpful. Let us know if you have any questions. You can email us at support@realsimgear.com, and happy flying.